The drama between both of the 2022 Alpine drivers was not the best, you can say, with them coming together on the track several times, which hurt the team as a whole. The team were fighting for P4 in the constructors' standings with McLaren, and when they would come together and ruin each other's race, but luckily it did not affect them that much, so they did finish in P4. So in today's video, we are going to talk all about Alpine in 2023, all about Alonso, and of course the several times that both Ocon and Alonso got close together. Let's get right into it, shall we? Before we get into the drama between both the drivers in 2022, we're actually going to take a step back into 2021, which was their first of two seasons where they would be teammates. Alonso came back into the sport after he said he retired in 2018 with McLaren and was joining back to the team where he won both his world championships, when they were known as Renault. Ocon will be in his second season at Renault after he missed the 2019 due to being dropped by Racing Point, and this season would come after a pretty successful return when in 2020 he would get his maiden podium, which was a huge breakthrough. So it was going to be a very good driver lineup and looked like they could be the future of Alpine going forward. Many people questioned whether Alonso still had it, but he clearly did and got a podium too, whilst having a pretty good race in Hungary. I'm sure all of you know about the race in 2021, but if not, pretty much there was utter carnage, with drivers being taken out left, right and centre, and certain drivers having awful strategies such as Lewis Hamilton. However, he would come through being at the back of the grid and was looking like he was going to take P1 away eventually if he had kept up the same pace. But there was one man who tried everything to allow Ocon to win and tried to stop Hamilton at all costs, and that man was his former bitter rival, Fernando Alonso. Alonso, being the old fox that he is, he used every single skill set in his arsenal to defend against Hamilton, and it worked pretty well. Even though the Alpine was much slower than the Mercedes in 2021, he was able to put his car in the right position and held up Hamilton for so long it meant that he was only able to finish P3 on the track. This meant that Ocon was able to take home his maiden win in Formula 1, and yes, he drove a very good race under pressure from Vettel, but if it was not for Alonso, that win would not have happened. After that race, you can see Ocon embracing and thanking Alonso, and it was clear their partnership was working better than ever. It was also shown in Qatar, where Alonso told Ocon to defend like a lion to Perez, who was charging and wanting to overtake Alonso for a podium. Yes, Ocon did not do as well of a job as the Red Bull just had much better straight line speed, but he did do his best for his teammate and cost Perez a couple of seconds, which allowed Alonso to take home his first podium ever since his days in Ferrari. It was clear that this partnership between teammates was one of the best on the grid, and it would help Alpine going into 2022 and beyond. Building on this, they would just get better and better until they are able to mount a title challenge. However, we all know this would be far from the case. So let's get into how the 2022 season boiled over and was so damaging for Alpine as a whole. It was clear from the outset of the season that this Alpine was much better than 2021 Challenger and was able to fight for the top of the midfield in the best of the rest position. They had two good drivers who were consistently at the top of the game and were very close to one another, which was unlike McLaren, who had Lando Norris, who utterly battered his teammates in the head-to-head, and the points, which meant it was like a one-man band from the Papaya-coloured team. The first of the fiery encounters on the track between both teammates was in just the second race of the season in Saudi Arabia. The two would battle for several laps, which would cost them a lot of time and would compromise each other's race, as Schwarzner just let the two drivers race, which was fair as it was the start of the season, and each of them wanted to impose themselves and show how they were the better driver. However, they would get very close to having a disastrous weekend when Ocon would move towards the wall very aggressively and almost caused Alonso to go into the back of him. They seemed to squash the near collision after the race, and they went into the next race and would have had no crashes until we came to Brazil and the penultimate race of the season. In the sprint race, on the opening lap, Ocon would slam the door shut on Alonso going into turn 4, which meant that Alonso nearly crashed, but somehow kept it on the track, but he was not happy at all. Ocon did not need to slam the door shut, and he left no room for Alonso, so this was Ocon's fault for sure. It would get even worse for Alpine, as moments later, going on the famous straight before turn 1 at Interlagos, the two would then collide again, but it would be catastrophic. Alonso would hit Ocon and he would lose his front wing, and over the team radio he would say, "I think I've lost my front wing thanks to our friend," which were very strong words for a teammate that he seemed to have a good relationship with in 2021. Ocon would have some side pod damage that would make him fall back, whilst Alonso had to pit for a new front wing, whilst giving a 5-second time penalty, meaning that both drivers started at the back of the grid for the main race on Sunday. Ocon would not be teammates with Alonso in 2023, as Alonso would announce a surprise move to Aston Martin, so there will be no drama within the team, but they could easily clash on the track next year. Ocon, however, has had some strong words for Alonso in response to what he said in the media after the race in Brazil. Alonso just came out and said how happy he is that he only had one more race with Ocon, which was a feeling that he clearly had kept suppressed for so long, but he was very angry after the crash together in Brazil. Ocon since has criticised Alonso by saying, "I think it was not too nice what he said in the media." From this, we can gather that, of course, Ocon is annoyed at Alonso for what he said out to the world, and he would have had preferred to have kept it behind closed door. But it was very clear that Alonso could pretty much say what he wanted after the race in Brazil. He would only have one race left at Alpine before he was off to Aston Martin for 2023. Ocon also had some shocking words towards Alonso, saying, "To be honest, I did 98% of the work and he did 2%. I was overworked." These words are very damaging to Alonso, and Esteban here pretty much saying he was lazy and did not care, and Ocon was the only one who was trying for the team. Now, of course, these comments are not confirmed, but it is clear for everyone to see that Ocon has no thought of making amends with Alonso, and this could easily lead to some on-track action next year if Aston Martin and Alpine are close together like they were in 2021. Overall, it's pretty certain to say that the relationship between Alonso and Ocon is beyond repair now. It started off being a good relationship, with the end being very toxic, not only on but off the track, with these words between the two after Brazil being very strong and almost over the top. Hopefully, we get to see some drama between the two on the track come 2023. What do you think of this drama? Was it over the top, or was it fair, and who was in the wrong the most? Make sure to let us know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video, as it will mean the world to us if you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to watch more videos just like this one.